According to the vocal minority, the two biggest fight deciders are 50-50 right hand peeks while spraying and praying, and gear advantage. These players usually run meta gear and autopilot because meta gear is so easy to use, and when they die, they blame one thing or the other. If this is you, then you've developed some bad habits. If this isn't you because you're on your first or second wipe as a newish player trying to choose a main gun, but you don't know how to build or what to run, this video is still relevant. Either way, keep watching. You want to learn angles and map pathing by forcing yourself to not rely on meta gear. So we're downgrading to weaker weapons that feel similar to a meta counterpart. This way you can condition yourself to always find a winning scenario in a fight. I usually do this on loot runs or PvP and PvE quests. That's why you see me running subpar gear often. However, when it comes to fetch quests where you have to transport or survive with an item, running meta gear is recommended to increase survival chance. You're going to pick one of these substitutes for a meta weapon you want to run. I'll explain why as we go. For the M4, HK or any high fire rate low damage weapon, we run the MP5SD or MPX with Quakemaker. And for RD or Mutant, we'll go with the UMP running Hydra Shock. Any high RPM SMGs like Val or VSS, we'll be replacing them with a Keter running PSV or SP7. Why leg meta? Any advantageous position that allow you to win a fight shooting their legs, you're almost guaranteed to win with a meta gun running the best ammo spraying thorax or head. While for fights where you're caught in a disadvantageous position and 9 times out of 10 you don't have time to spray their thorax, you'll be training yourself to react and go for a headshot, because shooting these rounds at their thorax is going to be ineffective. These weapons have similar RPM to their meta counterparts, making them perfect simulators for getting a feel of when to reload. Here's our first example raid with our full auto simulator, the Keter. I'll explain my thought process, my usual habits when picking fights, and how a subpar weapon is helping me slow down my play. I'm playing in a trio, one of them is brand new and a little lost, so we told him to hide. Pretend I'm playing in a duo instead of a trio. Who's next to me in Texo? Who's next to me in Texo? Quick, talk!
Not me. I'm an idea.
I'm in Brutal, I said?
While looting Texo, I heard some footsteps next to me, so I immediately fall back to take an advantageous position.
I don't know where to go from Brutal.
If I had an M4 with 855A1, it would have allowed me to aggress and risk my life. But because I have a Keter, I have no reason to play an unwinnable position.
Stars, and Brutal. Sorry, Viking.
I wait a little for more info while my buddy wraps around front mall so we can time a pincer.
Top brand.
He might be in top brand.
No, I'm in top brand. Oh, I found it. He's in Yushuka, whatever it is. Right behind. No, he doesn't know.
Yeah, I'm running down the mid mall.
Bongas?
There's someone running?
Shooting PST GZH.
Unfortunately, he gets caught, so I wait. Usually it isn't good to wait, because the longer you wait, the more map your opponents can cover, making your previous information useless. I can wait here because I know the majority of interchange has Emercom for an extract. So if they want to loot my friend and extract, there's a large probability they'll go my way. Oh, he's coming in. Look. There's two. Right here, when they're at this position, if I had a meta gun, I would have chose to fight. If I fought here where they had cover, I would get one, but the second guy may not be guaranteed. Because I have a Keter, my best option is to wait until they're both out in the open. They're both in Texo, okay? Now that they're both in the open, if I had a meta gun, this is a guaranteed win. But with a Keter, it isn't. With my opponent's legs behind cover, I'm forced to go for a headshot. With a meta weapon, my habits would have been to just spray and assume they'll die to my meta rounds.
No, he doesn't know. Wow, so the can is red.
For meta DMRs, if your playstyle is sniping, run the Hunter. As a sniper enjoyer, you should already be decent at positioning, so our issues lie in rotations and aim. Thanks to the Hunter's high recoil, it'll have a larger time gap between each shot, meaning you can't have a zero recoil gun spamming players down. This will help you get a feel of when to wait for the best one-shot opportunity. A meta DMR can carry you out of poor decision making when it comes to rotations. as low recoil, large magazine size, and lasers allow you to barrel stuff players to win fights. On a hunter, you're forced to learn the best map pathing to avoid close range engagements, as any close range engagement can mean death. With high recoil, a 10 round magazine, and no laser, getting caught out is not a position you want to be in. However, close range CQB 308 barrel stuffing is a playstyle many enjoy. Personally, I find the lack of RPM in semi-auto guns too much of a disadvantage when going for headshots. But if you like this playstyle and you want to practice its shortcomings, try an MP153 shooting flechette. It'll semi-auto 2 to 3 tap thorax close up just like an SR25 or M1A. And for the lower end of mid-range engagements around 15 to 20 meters, similar to 7.62 guns, the 153 with flechette will lose against 800 RPM lasers. But on the shotgun, this disadvantage is exacerbated. And that's how you'll train yourself to pick off angles that are strong for your semi-auto weapon, rather than relying on spraying your M61 crafts to win a fight. This second gameplay, I'm demonstrating a different aspect of running subpar loadouts. Something I lightly touched on at the end of the last clip, running subpar loadouts allows you to have more PvP interactions. Because you can't instantly kill them, you're forced into a position where you have to go through more hurdles to find checkmate. I fly down the escalator here and spot 2. Obvious thing to do is to fake a left, grab a right hand angle, and try to pick one off. In any world where I'm running an SR25 or M1A, that guy is deceased. But because I'm not, I get to fight some more. If I had a larger mag in M80, that guy should be 6 foot under. But again, I get more experience fighting with this kit. Now that my kit has forced me into a disadvantageous position, I get to think my way out. I know they're pretty hurt and deep into furniture, so they won't easily push out. Meaning, I'm allowed to leave Rasmussen to grab an advantageous angle while having time to heal my head and thorax. With Nikita on my side, he makes the scav miss me while also sending a scav at them to get their attention. Using the scav to my advantage, I wait until they start firing to peek. So why go through all this trouble? The past 2 or 3 wipes, I've stopped running metiguns entirely for solo runs when I don't have a clear objective, so I can find ways to win with weak weapons. Doing this have greatly improved my decision making and game sense. In the 2 scenarios that were demonstrated previously, if I had a meta weapon, I would have had less PvP interaction. I would have either died to bad positioning because meta weapons are so versatile to the point where I found myself gambling 50-50 fights often, or I would have positioned myself correctly and ended the fight instantly. Running weaker gear forces you to position yourself correctly. Otherwise, you have 0% chance to win, let alone a 50-50. And even if you position yourself well, the fight isn't guaranteed, therefore placing yourself into more situations where you have to think on your feet and act fast. The weaker weapons were chosen to magnify certain weaknesses of its meta counterparts. For full auto guns, running leg meta makes shooting thorax unwinnable, so you're forced to go for a headshot when in a bad position, which is what you should be doing with full auto high RPM weapons. For snipers, you're almost guaranteed to lose when you're forced to fight up close if caught off guard, so you learn to path around the map while maintaining long angles. And finally, for semi-auto enjoyers, your weakest point is the furthest range of a full auto user being accurate. Running a shotgun at these ranges puts you at such a massive disadvantage, you'll have to learn flanks and angles you can use to win these fights. Do try these weapons if you find that your PvP has hit a plateau. And for timmies who don't have a main weapon, try all these cheap guns. They're mostly sub 100k. When you find one you like, pick the meta counterpart as an endgame weapon to work towards. Like the video if it helped, comment, sub, my socials are here, follow them if you so desire, see you soon.